right, Steph, go ahead and give me your next wide receiver breakdown. I think I'm pretty excited to hear this one if it's the player that I'm thinking.
I think it is the player that you're thinking of, and I'm a huge DJ Moore truther. And shout out to our boy Ryan McCarthy. He asked us on our last pod in our backfield battles. Guys, go check that out if you had not had a chance to yet. We got into a lot of the running back splits and the running back by committee breakdowns. But Ryan McCarthy asked, can we break down DJ Moore? Ryan, yes, we can, and I love DJ Moore in 2020 redraft and in Dynasty. I have him as a low-end wide receiver 1 this year over names like Adam Thielen, Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, and Juju. And for me, it comes down to the fact that Moore is a perfect weapon for a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater. In his second season last year, just 14 games, Moore saw 135 targets from Kyle Allen and finished as the wide receiver 16, and he was able to put up almost 1,200 yards because he's fast, and where he really excels is on slants and dig routes, the easiest throws for quarterbacks to make and for receivers to bring in. So those were easy completions for Kyle Allen. And who else do we know that excelled on slants and dig routes with Teddy Bridgewater? Oh, yeah, it was Michael Thomas back with the Saints last year. Michael Thomas was absolutely dominant all season, and when Teddy came in for Drew Brees, he did not miss a beat. Teddy had 30 or more pass attempts per game from week 2 to week 7, and during that stretch, here are Michael Thomas's per-game averages. 11 targets, 8.5 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown every other week. On a per-game basis, that's 22 fantasy points. That's the ceiling. I'm not projecting it. I'm just saying that's the ceiling that DJ Moore has to be this year's Michael Thomas. There was an explosive element to Moore missing last year in the touchdown category, and I blame that primarily on the way that the offense was set up, with Kyle Allen just checking it down to McCaffrey a billion times a game. But with Matt Rule and Joe Brady coming in and Teddy Bridgewater, I'm just expecting positive regression in all categories, but especially the touchdown category. And even if DJ Moore just gets 4 touchdowns, he's still a safe, reliable option that has a massive ceiling just from the volume alone. He finished in the top 10 in routes run, targets, receptions, and receiving yards last year, and I expect it to at least remain the same, if not massively explode here in 2020. I'm all aboard this DJ Moore hype train.
I'm not going to lie, Steph, like that's a pretty compelling argument. I'm rising on DJ Moore. I was actually very, very low on him earlier on in the offseason, and he's slowly but surely been creeping up my rankings. I think I'm right in line with ADP right now. I have him as my wide receiver 12. So, I just haven't found myself taking him very often, though, because there are so many names in that same range that I like a lot more, like Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson, Odell Beckham. So I haven't found myself, Amari Cooper, who we talked about earlier, so I haven't found myself taking a lot of DJ Moore, but that's not to say that I don't think he's a good player and that he's going to have a good season. For me, there's just so much uncertainty with this Carolina Panthers team. I mean, new head coach, new quarterback. They bring in Robby Anderson on a decent free agent deal, and I just don't know. Like, I'm just concerned about DJ Moore's target volume. If he gets 130 targets, I think he's a locked-in wide receiver 1 this year. I just don't know if he's going to get there.
I think he's going to get
I hope so. And here's the thing. It's tough. It's like fire against ice, what wins? Because Teddy Bridgewater, we know if it was up to him, would probably throw the ball 25 times a game. But this Panthers defense is going to be so bad and so young that I think there could be a path where Teddy Bridgewater's throwing the ball 35 times a game and he's up at 550, 600 attempts this year. And if that's the case, DJ Moore will get those targets and he will return on value. But I just don't know how it's going to break down. So, I'm not hating on DJ Moore at all. I think he's going to have a great connection with Teddy because their play styles align, like you just said, with how good Teddy was with Michael Thomas. But I don't know. I'm not all in yet on DJ Moore.
Here's the thing too. Like, this is in a worst case scenario for Moore. He's what he was last year, which was fine. Mid wide receiver 2, weekly startable option. He had a few blow up games, but like everything should improve with all the upgrades that this team has made. And something I know about Matt Rule, just from researching him a little bit, is he loves to run RPOs. And what they don't get with Teddy Bridgewater is the ability to run the ball with the quarterback Yes, Teddy can scramble. He can be, he make moves in the pocket. I'm not going to say he's like a, Tom Brady type, but, he's not a guy that's a Lamar Jackson or even like a Gardner Minshew that's going to get all this ground usage. And so from that perspective, I see a lot of plays here where Teddy's just going to be eyeing the outside linebacker, and based on what he does, he's either going to hand it to McCaffrey or check it down to DJ Moore on just a quick slant. I think that's going to be something we see a ton here in 2020. And I just see, like you said, like, it could be 600 pass attempts. I love him this year. He's just one of the most safe wide receiver one options to me.
Yeah, for sure. And Steph, real quickly, let's hit on the other guys in that offense. So I mentioned Robby Anderson. We got Curtis Samuel as well. Anderson's going as wide receiver 57. Curtis Samuel is wide receiver 62. I'm not really interested in either for fantasy football. Maybe you take a flyer on one, but I think they're both going to kind of like counteract each other. They're both going to have their fair share of big plays. Maybe 1 week Curtis Samuel has 5 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, but it's just going to be hard to predict. And same for Robby Anderson. So, Steph, I'm kind of out on those guys. There's other guys at that ADP I like a lot more, like, Brashad Perriman, Deshaun Jackson, James Washington. Steph, do you have any interest in either Robby or Curtis Samuel? I think they help Teddy more than anything.
Yeah, they're going to be good weapons for Teddy. They're going to spread things out. Like, I think Robby Anderson's best utility is going to be opening things up a little bit more for McCaffrey so they can't just stack the box against him. They're not really guys that I'm eyeing in any format. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be weeks where we're deep into the season and we're saying to stream a Robby Anderson for 1 week. I'm certain that they're going to have their games. I think Teddy Bridgewater is slept on in the deep passing game, but there's not going to be enough volume there when I think DJ Moore is going to get so much of that funneled volume. It could even be in the Panthers this year a like Devontae Parker type situation from last year where there's just plenty of garbage time and plenty of volume and scores to go around at the end of games. So all in on DJ Moore, but not really about some of these other options there.